Hello, dear colleagues. My name is Matej Nakic, and it's a great honor for me to present you this research made by my colleagues, Professor Croatian, Professor Oblakovic, and myself. The title is Volunteering Experience, Moderating First Job Expectations Among Croatian and International Students. Our goal was to explore the connection between students' motivation to volunteer and job expectations from their first jobs upon entering the workforce. Also, we've looked for possible ethnic differences between Croatian and international students. Firstly, I would like to shed some light on the very definition of volunteering. Well, we could describe it as giving time or skills during a planned activity for a volunteering group or organization. It's an excellent alternative to a paid job as it provides experience, knowledge, and skills that can increase students' employability. Taking into account that the number of candidates in selection processes has declined with the declining number of new college graduates, companies are starting to look for different competencies and motivation of applicants, which are partly reflected in their volunteering history. Volunteering also perpetuates an engaged civil society by normalizing the very act of unselfish contribution. This is immensely important in these trying times when we are tackling the issues such as climate change, global pandemic, growing economic disparity, etc., etc. Okay, let me raise one simple question. Why do people volunteer? Well, scientific community is divided on this one. One school of thought perceives human beings as inherently and congenitally selfish, always calculating the cost versus benefit ratio and seeking reward in every possible interaction. Therefore, they perceive volunteering as a process by which people gain hidden rewards such as praise, experience, wider network of business contacts, etc., etc. Second school of thought perceives human beings as inherently and congenitally altruistic, able to perform selfless deeds and help others on their own expense. Luckily, the question we've posed was more carefully examined by Clary and Snyder, researchers that brought us VFI, Volunteering Functions Inventory. Okay, according to them, the main division of volunteering functions is on extrinsic and intrinsic ones. Extrinsic functions include protective function, one that provides the volunteers with a safety net that helps them to cope with internal conflicts and compensate them through helping others. Then we have social function, one that serves their need for socialization and getting along with their peers. Finally, we have career function, one that provides the much needed notion of being connected inside the business network, which benefits the future career of volunteer. On the intrinsic side, there is so-called understanding function, one that provides the volunteer with a required set of skills which they cannot acquire through formal education in their respective fields. We also have values function, one that implies an altruistic outlook for the volunteer and thereby introduces positive self-evaluation to his or her self-concept. Lastly, we have an enhancement function, one that improves one's psychological categories such as self-esteem, self-respect, assertiveness, etc. Regarding the job expectations our job market entrants possess, they are also divided alongside extrinsic versus intrinsic dimension. Extrinsic job expectations imply perks such as nice salary, extra benefits, and a good chance of getting a fast promotion. On the other hand, intrinsic job expectations imply things such as quality mentorship, room for personal growth, etc., etc. Okay, now let's talk about our hypothesis. First hypothesis claims that internal functions in VFI will predict first job expectations that have intrinsic motivation in student graduates. Second hypothesis claims that external functions in VFI inventory will predict first job expectations that have extrinsic motivation. Third hypothesis claims that VFI, all six functions, will predict overall first job expectations, both extrinsic and intrinsic ones, from the first job among graduates with volunteering experience. At the same time, it will not play a significant role among those that had no prior volunteering experience. Finally, fourth hypothesis claims that due to ethnic differences, motivation to volunteer will be different in the group of Croatian students and international students. Croatian students will have less volunteering experience compared to international students. Okay. Our sample was a convenience sample by its nature, and it was comprised of 130 Croatian and international students. They were currently studying undergraduate programs at Zagreb School of Economics and Management. The questionnaire itself consisted of 54 items encompassing demographic variables, comprised of 4 items, volunteer function inventory, comprised of 18 items, first job expectations, comprised of 12 items, locus of control scale, comprised of 10 items, and religious belief scale, comprised of 8 items. Both scales used in this research showed the right and proper internal consistency and reliability. Regarding the results, in this research, results show that functions of motivation to volunteer, mostly values and career, spill over on intrinsic motivation when searching for the first job. Volunteering to maintain altruistic function and help others is mainly related to searching for the first job that will have meaning and purpose for an individual. The same incentive is pursued by those volunteering to ensure social networks and thus find better job opportunities suiting their intrinsic incentives. That's for the first hypothesis. Regarding the second hypothesis, people choosing volunteering to protect the ego from negative features of the self seem to be guided with external incentives while searching for their first jobs. The same cannot be concluded in case of remaining external motivators that are at play while searching for the first job. Only protective function in VFI is connected with the extrinsic first job motivation. More research needs to explore the relationship between motivation to volunteer and motivations behind the search for the first job. Regarding the third hypothesis, in the subsample of students that had prior experience in volunteering, 48% of the variance in job motivation was predicted by understanding the reasons for which people choose to volunteer. Having strong-minded candidates with values, protective and career function brings motivated future employees who understand what they need and expect from their employers. Finally, as for the fourth hypothesis, our research shows that Croatian students volunteer less compared to international students. Also, in Croatian subsample, female students tend to volunteer less than their male counterparts. Regarding the methodological limitations, they lie in the sample size and in the fact that it's a convenience sample. Although convenience sampling is widespread in developmental sciences, it renders lower external validity than probabilistic sampling. This might be the next step to improve in the research design. Another limitation, this study was conducted at a private Croatian institution, which might not represent the overall student population in Croatia. Further research should address this limitation and use random or stratified sampling of the overall student population in Croatia. Finally, the implications of our research make a reasonable case for the utilization of volunteering programs within academia, because by doing that, universities could produce better equipped future job market entrants. Furthermore, a good case has also been made for the utilization of volunteering programs within companies. By getting involved into volunteering programs and sponsoring them, companies can improve the acquisition process of future interns, customizing the environment they want them to train in. As we've already stated, having strong-minded candidates with values, protective and career function brings motivated future employees who understand what they need and expect from their employers. Finally, it is important for us to improve Croatian volunteering programs overall, but also in terms of gender diversity, promoting it more strongly within female audiences and building a long-term strategy that will build up their personal agency and motivation regarding their volunteering choices. Alright, dear colleagues, that would be all. It has been an honor to present for you. Best regards and farewell.